Hi everyone, welcome to the American Computer Enthusiast Show. My name's Steve Reeves and I'll be your host, and we've got a great show. We've got Doug Hansen from Toshiba America here in Houston, and we're going to be taking a look at all kinds of great little computers, notebooks. We've got docking stations, PCMCI cards, replicators, all kinds of fun stuff. That's going to be one of our tests of what all these things are. So stay tuned and we'll be right back.
When Raymond was 6, I was afraid to take him to the playground because they were doing drugs. When he was 10, I couldn't let him play ball in the schoolyard because of the gangs. When he was 15, I wouldn't let him go to any dances because there could be a fight or a shooting. Now he's a man, and I realize he's never been a kid.
Give your children back their childhood. Do something now. Call 1-800-WE-PREVENT. Together, we will take a bite out of crime.
The air dances with the waters, which brings the rain that feeds the land, that is home to the animals. All life dances together.
In a world so connected, choosing one environmental cause can be hard. EarthShare is 40 environmental charities working together. You and your company can help by calling 1-800-MY-SHARE.
All life lives, or doesn't, together.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the show. In case you just tuned in, this is the American Computer Enthusiast Show. My name's Steve Reeves, and we're going to have a great show. We have Doug Hansen from Toshiba America here in Houston, and we're going to be taking a look at, well, actually the title of the show is Portable PC Technology. And we're going to be taking a look at all kinds of great notebook computers, docking stations, port replicators, PCMCI cards, all kinds of great stuff. But before we get into the show, I've always got a few things I've got to get out of the way. One is our hotline. I want to make sure everybody knows what our hotline number is. It's 587-5369, 587-5369, and you can leave any kind of message you want on there pertaining to computers. And you can leave messages like what you'd like to see in future shows, questions you'd like us to answer in future shows, anything having to do with ACE. And the other thing is ace@macaw.com. Ace@macaw.com is our email address. If you want to leave any messages on there, James DiMaggio, one of our other hosts, he checks that all the time, and you can leave him messages on his email, on the email address. And we're always working on new fun stuff to put on there. So I know that a couple weeks ago we did a show on iLink, which is an internet provider for, and they just opened up with a new number in Houston. They're actually out of Austin. I know the software that you had to download in order to use that software was available on Macaw's bulletin board. So if for no other reason, you should get on there and check things out on what's on Macaw, on ace@macaw.com. And I guess that's everything we want to talk about today. Oh, by the way, Happy New Year, everybody. This is our first show after the New Year, and Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays and all the other fun stuff. Sound pretty jolly there, don't I? But anyway, I guess what we're going to do before we go any further is introduce our guest. Our guest is Doug Hansen, and he works for Toshiba America, like I said earlier, and his title is Account Development Executive, and his business card's about this long because it has to fit on there. But I guess thanks for being on the show.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
What exactly is an Account Development Executive?
It's a fancy term for a manufacturer's representative. My charter is to focus on national accounts specifically, but I also work with my dealers and basically just try to educate as many people as I can about Toshiba products. Would like to point out I do not sell the products, actually deliver them and collect POs or cash. That's strictly done through our dealers. But you can always call our offices and we can get help, as well as go to our dealers and get help.
But you're in Houston here.
That's correct. I call on Houston and all of the state of Louisiana.
All right. And how long have you worked for Toshiba?
4 years.
All right. We've got all kinds of fun stuff here to show. Fun stuff. That's a good thing there.
That's a technical term.
Yeah, it is. What is all this, and how do you know the difference between all? I mean, we've got how many computers set up here? Quite a few, and they're all Toshibas. How do you know the difference between what there are? Like little ones, big ones? Is that how you do different colors?
Well, that's my probably my most difficult challenge as I go out and about. is that Toshiba, we are the only computer manufacturer that's totally focused on portable computing systems. We don't make desktops for file servers and so forth. Because of that, we tend to have more models than the average computer manufacturer. The good side to that is we don't ever walk into a customer, let's say a NASA engineer, and say, this is the box for you, and then take that machine away and go to a college student that's looking to buy a machine and say, this is the box for you, and try to push people up or down into their price point and their performance needs. So, but the bad side to all this is that people get confused, and that's where I come into play, and I try to make some sense out of all this, where you can fit what your budget is as well as what your performance needs are.
All right. What are these over here? Let's start with what are the different levels? How does
Okay,
this work?
well, we basically have three categories. We have our Satellite series, which is our value line, our entry line. We have our Portage series, which is our ultra notebook. They're definitely known for being small and lightweight and so forth. And then we have our Performance series, which are the three we have back here.
All right. Now this is this one up here is actually a Pentium machine.
That's correct.
The one up in the middle. This is brand new, isn't it?
That's correct. It was announced, I believe, November, I believe, is when it was announced, and we were the first one to come to market with the Pentium notebook. We're actually shipping in quantity today.
So somewhere on Comdex then.
That's correct. It was at Comdex, actually.
Because we did a show in November, right? We had guys that were actually at Comdex, came back, flew in, and did the show and showed us all the new fun stuff that they saw and brought back all kinds of fun stuff.
It's an amazing place.
It's huge. It's unbelievable. So, well, let me talk about these the first ones over here, the entry level or Satellite.
The Satellite series is our value price notebooks, and they're still very powerful notebooks, 486 processors. If people think, well, it's going to be a 386 or something like that. Still 486 processors, 200 meg drives, up to 320 on, let's say, the 1960. I've tried to categorize these in price point. If we had a 1910, it would be down here, and it has a monochrome or a CS display. CS means passive matrix. As you go up to the 1960, you can't get the monochrome anymore, but you can get active or passive matrix, and we can discuss the differences of those in a minute. And then you go up to the 2400 series, which adds a few more features like this port replicator, which lets you organize your wires easier.
Right.
This machine has a built-in SCSI port and so forth. However, the main difference as you move up the line, usually the main differences are, it's like the 1910 and the 1960 look identical. You're basically getting a faster processor, a little bit more hard drive, and basically upgrading your memory capacity.
Why don't you open those up just so people can see like what the screens look like. They're not actually on, but they're just so you can see what they look like. And now, one of the major differences I can see right off the bat is one has an external mouse, and one has one like built in.
That's correct. This mouse is the ballpoint mouse. This mouse is called the AccuPoint mouse. It's built in. Looks like people call it the pencil eraser.
They're not made to be done behind the computer, though, right?
That's good. It's actually very difficult to work the mouse from here. But a lot of people ask that as well, like, why do you have two different kinds of mice, and what are the significance of those? And I'm going to close this so we can see better here.
And we want to see it.
Because we have the exact same mouse on this one as well as the Portage has the AccuPoint mouse, which is the pencil eraser. Mice are a very personal item. It's something like buying sunglasses or a wallet. Everyone has a different feel, and I have people that love the ballpoint and hate the other, and other people like this one and hate this one. And the point of the different mice is that this has been around for a while, and it's a little bit more intuitive. The actual user that's never used a mouse much can pick that up and pretty much learn it within a few seconds. The AccuPoint, the disadvantage is it's a little more difficult to get used to. But once you start using it, the beauty of it is when you pull your machine out on a plane or on a trip, you don't have to pull out a separate device and pop it off or pop it on.
I know when those first came out, I used to have, it was a Microsoft mouse, and it actually clamped onto the side of your keyboard. Now they had wires and everything else going to the serial port or the PS2 port. Now these are all nice because they plug right into the side.
That's correct.
And you don't have to have any kind of cables or anything else.
Yeah, it's a quick port. In fact, you notice I just popped this off. You can actually plug it in with the machine still on, and it will actually find it right then. You can go to work. So you don't have to have the mouse plugged in and reboot the computer. So
and if you don't want to use that, there's actually a little slot next to it that you can plug an actual mouse into.
Right. There's a serial port, which is the old traditional way to plug into a mouse. People still use a lot of serial port mice. Or there's a PS2 mouse port on all these computers. And that's where the AccuPoint is actually starting to gain a little ground, is that you have the convenience of having a built-in mouse when you need it on a plane. You just want to load up your word processor, click on something, and go to typing. You don't need the mouse much anymore. Also, but when you're in the office, you can just plug in a desktop mouse and have the best of both worlds.
Right.
A lot of people say, well, I like this better because I get to use one mouse all the time. I don't have to switch between. Once again, it's a personal item.
All right. And also that has a PS2 keyboard adapter in there also. I
Right.
mean, even though it's entry level and it's not inexpensive or whatever, I mean, not cheap, it's
Right.
entry
No, it's
level.
definitely cheap.
It's it has all the good things on it. I
Right.
guess it is. I
One
mean,
thing that-
parallel port, and it has a disk drive built in.
That's correct. It has a hard drive, floppy drive built in. People a lot of times don't realize that it has the exact same ports that are on your desktop computer. I mean, your parallel port, same printer port. Sometimes people don't realize that the notebooks have the same power and the same exact ports, same configuration as your desktop. So there's not actually a learning curve. Oh, well, I got to buy a whole new printer because I bought a notebook or a whole new mouse or a whole new display. All the same devices plug into the exact same ports that are on your standard
Yeah, you can
desktop.
plug a normal monitor, a VGA or Super VGA monitor into that, and it works just great.
That's correct. That's
Now, what's the major difference between like that one there and the one right next to it, the 1960 and the 2400?
Okay, well, the 1960, and this is once again, we talked before about normally you move up in processor speed. In this case, it's a 50 megahertz DX as well as here. So we didn't gain processor speed. Actually, you can get the same hard drives here as well. The advantage of this machine is that it has, first of all, this port replicator, which lets you walk in, and by pushing that down, all of your wires are hooked up. Your mouse, if you have an external mouse, your keyboard, your printer, the power that charges your battery, a display if you want to run another display, as well as this also has sound ports for mic and speakers.
Why
All
don't
in
you
this
take
port
that up and
replicator.
let me hold that up so people can see what it looks like here. We just wanted to wake up the camera person.
That's just called
Okay,
a port
this
replicator.
is a port replicator.
Mhm.
Can you see that down here? Well, who's doing this? Oh, okay, got it. See it? And on the back, you can see it has game port,
Correct.
VGA port,
SCSI.
SCSI adapter or SCSI port, parallel port, and a VGA port. No, oh, what is this? Oh, what is it? Oh, I'm sorry, serial port.
Right.
my mistake there. Keyboard and a mouse. Usually I don't look at things upside down like this. And all you do is just slide that in there, push this down. Kind of looks like a paper puncher.
Right. It
But-
works as a 3-hole punch as well.
Yeah, exactly. There's little things here. But it's real simple to hook it up. And then on the side over here, what'd you say this is?
One of the other features of this machine, and that's where that comes into play, is that you can plug in an internal Creative Labs Sound Blaster card. Now, it's actually reduced for a laptop market because obviously it needs to reduce power and smaller real estate, but it is a true Creative Labs chipset on a soundboard. You can plug internal into this machine without using your PC card slots, and when that's installed, those two ports on the side there become active for your microphone and your
okay.
speakers.
Right over here. See
So
it?
now you can have, in other words, when you walk up and plug your notebook onto the port replicator, your speakers are hooked up, your microphone, your power, your mouse, your display, your printer, everything all in one quick, easy motion, all
That's
those
great.
wires.
So when you push this down, it actually yanks the computer in there and plugs it into this little
That's correct.
thingamajig. That's one of those technical terms.
Yes, that's correct.
All right, I'm going to move this over here now. Okay. Wow, look at that camera. Is that good? You did that camera great. Okay, now one thing I want to make sure everybody knows, that does not work on the 1900 series.
That's correct. We only have two machines right now that offer the port replicator, and that's the 2400 and the 3600. The 1910 and the 1960 do not have any kind of docking station device or port replicator. As you move up the line, you start getting port replicators, and then as you go even further up the line, you start having a docking station. So that's correct. That's a good point.
All right. What's the next level above this one? Where does it go to this middle one here?
We go right to the 3600, which
I think I'll hold this one up so people can see because this is a pretty cool machine.
This
This
is-
is one like every award known to man.
yeah, it won every single award you can think of at Comdex. It's a well-designed, you can see it's a rugged case. It's a 4-pound computer that has a 250 meg drive, a 486 50 megahertz machine processor, 8 meg of RAM standard, and it'll go up to 24 meg of RAM. It also has a built-in PCMCIA slot, active matrix display, and it's a really good seller for us.
And you see it automatically turned on when I opened it up.
Right, that's a feature we have called Power Panel, and did you notice it also came up right into Windows? It didn't have to reboot. It remembered where you were. You could actually be in an Excel spreadsheet or a Word document, turn the machine off, 2 days later turn it on, you're exactly where you left off. You don't have to reboot, reload Windows, reload Excel, reload your file. Yeah, so that's a neat feature because I used to actually, before we had that feature, I would turn the machine off or think I turned it off, put it in my briefcase on the plane, and I was actually running my battery down. I'd get to my destination, open my machine, and my battery was dead.
Right.
With that feature turned on, you can't run your battery down.
All right. Now what else does this have on the side? This has
It's a PCMCIA slot,
right over here.
right? It's a Type 2 slot.
And then over here, I
That-
guess is...
That is your floppy port.
Oh.
Because that is a smaller machine, it's designed to be basically what's called a sub-notebook. It has an external floppy. And that comes with the machine. It's not an accessory item. You can plug it in via this cable while the machine is on. You don't have to turn it off and reboot or anything. You just plug it in and it finds it.
You want to do that? Why don't we just do it?
Sure, there's two different size connectors, so you have to put the
Okay, you just
small one on the computer. Exactly, just clips right on.
and then this plugs into here. This is not easy to do with one hand. And then this plugs into here.
That's correct.
There is a test on this, like I said later in the show. And now you have a floppy.
That's correct. And the beauty of this is now it's small enough. That thing, as you can see, weighs nothing. In fact, people have always, when I take it to trade shows, they say, "Oh, this isn't a working unit." And I say, "Oh, yes, it is," because it's so lightweight. But you can also leave this on your port replicator. There is a port on this that lets you keep the floppy drive plugged in at all times. When you walk up and put your notebook down and hit this, now you've got your floppy
Instant
automatically hooked
floppy,
up. So you don't have to do that every time you need a floppy.
And there's no power to this either.
That's correct. The power runs through the port.
That's pretty cool.
See, this machine was designed as a product of our end-user evaluations. They've said we have had many end-users say we want a sub-notebook. We don't need a built-in floppy. We'd rather have the smaller size and weight, because the only time we use a floppy is when we load our software.
Right.
So
Or backing things up.
Right.
Now what's on here, the back of here, there's also ports too.
Right. Now,
Let's see if you remember what they are.
that's your serial port. Okay, and then this next port is where it plugs into the docking station.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
sorry, the port replicator. Now, if you want to plug in an external monitor without buying this, now this is an accessory item. If you decide you want to plug an external monitor, the machine comes with an adapter that goes from that to a VGA out.
All right.
Okay, and then the next port is your printer port. Now, I'd like to point out also, when you're plugged into this, you gain 2 ports. You gain the PS2 mouse port and the keyboard port. You do not have those ports standing on the machine.
And then on this side, there's a little thing that's like a lock. I guess that's the lock. I mean, if you had like in your office, you want someone to steal
The
this.
Kensington lock slot. All our machines come with that's a standard cabling system. Lets you lock your
And the on-off
machine
switch.
down.
And then this little reset. Let's press this.
It actually
All right.
resets the computer.
And then the battery just goes on the bottom.
Right.
This long thing right here.
Exactly.
This is a pretty, like I said, this is won like every award. You see it in every magazine. Now this is the new, is this the new version? It is the 36.
That's the newest
There was
version.
one earlier that was, it was an SX machine.
Right. It was a
But now it's a
3400.
DX.
Smaller hard drive and a not as quite as powerful a processor, and actually a slightly smaller display. So it's been upgraded. One thing I'd like to point out, notice when you're on the port replicator, there's a slight incline here, because people get used to that and then they go on the road and it's flat and they find that very frustrating. This is also part of the end user advisory. There's little legs there on the side that fold down.
Oh, there they are.
Yeah, and that gives you the same incline as you have when you're on the port replicator. So a lot of usability features, because these are actually, this machine was almost 100% designed by customers.
That's pretty neat. All right. And what's the next machine? And where does this go from here?
So we've talked about the value line, and then this is the only machine we have in our Ultra Notebook series. We don't like to call it a sub-notebook because it implies that it's not powerful. That term
Right.
does. This machine is as powerful as any of our performance notebooks.
Do they all say Doug Hansen on them?
Only the ones that I
Okay.
try to keep inventory on.
Okay.
Now, we jump right into the Performance Series notebooks, and this is where people get a little bit confused.
All right.
And this is the basic idea is we have 4 machines in the Performance Notebook. We only have 3 shown here today just because of table space, but we have actual 4 machines in the Performance Notebook line, and they go from a 4700 that is a 50 megahertz processor that today is probably our best value we have at the pricing it's at for a 4650 megahertz. Then it goes up to the 4800, which is a 75 megahertz, then the 4850, which is a 75 megahertz as well, but it has the larger display, and you can get it in a larger hard drive size, and then you go to the 49 that's a Pentium. This is where I have to do a lot of consulting with my customers because it gets too confusing. I can say, look, let's talk about what your needs are, and we try to do a price point mix.
All right. Now, how do these all have, we're going to get more into all this fun stuff here, but we're just trying to like an overview so
Right.
people can, and then we're going to talk about all the differences and docking stations and all that other kind of fun stuff. Now these, the 4800 series, are these both, this is a 4050. These have the external mice.
That's correct.
The 4900 has the little eraser head.
This is the very first time we've ever made a performance line notebook that has the eraser head AccuPoint mouse on it.
All right. Now, what's the major difference between you said the screen is the major difference between the 4800 and the 4850.
As you can see, they're the exact same case design. This one has a 9.5-inch active matrix color display. That one has a 10-inch active matrix color display. You can also get that machine in up to an 800 meg drive, where you can only get this one up to 500 meg. Other than that, they're the same machine. So that's why the 4850, there's not much changes there.
Oh, I see what you mean. And then when you go up to the Pentium version, the 4900 series, you can, how big is the biggest hard drive on that?
800 meg. Actually the same drive that comes in the 4850. The Pentium obviously has a Pentium processor, which is a dual inline processor. It's a very powerful machine. One thing I'd like to point out is all of these machines come multimedia ready with built-in speakers, built-in microphones. You can record your voice without adding a thing. Just start talking. A lot of customers are using this for their Salesforce automation for doing multimedia out in the field.
The other thing I noticed, these have the LE or LCD.
It's quick status icon bar, we call it.
Right here. I don't know if you can see that or not, but let me see if I can lift this up. I like to make it as difficult as possible for our camera people. You can see what it says. What does all this mean? What is this like?
Well, basically,
26%.
That's your battery life. It's showing you as it's charging. That machine is plugged in, so it's telling you that it's charged up to 26% of its battery.
Oh, I wish I had that on mine.
This machine is not plugged in, and it tells me that I have 3 hours of battery time left at,
I see.
at the current rate of usage. So as you're using the machine and you're using battery, it'll tell you. So when you plug it in, it shows you what percent of the battery is empty or full. As you're using it, it shows you how much you got left.
Okay, that's pretty slick. And then right next to it, that means it's plugged in. You
Right.
probably can't see this, but just believe me that it says this. And then there's a little water faucet,
What
which
that
means
is-
I guess it's wet.
Right, that's if you get water in your machine. No, what that is it lets you have different power settings. Like let's say you're on the road, you want to have a battery save mode. You're in the office, you want to, and you plugged in the wall, you want to go full power because you're plugged in, so power's not an issue. You can have, it comes with some preset power settings, and you can also have your own, and you can toggle through those power settings quickly and easily, and it lets you know where you're at on your power settings.
Great. We're going to have to take a quick break here, and so stay tuned, and we'll be right back in just a few minutes.
I don't know, I'm missing something there.
This is New Guinea.
It's so powerful.
I don't see it.
I'm having an out-of-decade experience. I was walking and came upon a fountain which bore the sign, "Don't drink the water."
Do you
And the
get
beggar
this?
carries a
Isn't it
sign saying, "I'm
fantastic?"
blind." What does this poem mean to me? It's like a collage of images.
Let's
and
face it,
sounds.
not every cultural activity appeals to everyone.
Finding an oasis.
So we're giving you something everyone likes, a choice. That's why 23,000 arts and humanities groups are inviting you to find something you can get excited about. Just call for a free brochure about what's going on in your community.
I think I'm getting into this.
They're tuning up.
The arts and humanities, there's something in it for you. There's a lot going on in your community. For a free brochure on how to get involved, call our toll-free number.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the show. In case you just tuned in, this is the American Computer Enthusiast Show. My name's Steve Reeves and I'm your host tonight. And we've got a great show. We've got Doug Hansen from Toshiba America here in Houston. He's actually Toshiba America, but his office is in Houston. And we need to make sure we mention some phone numbers too. We'll get to that in a little while. But one thing I always like to do is get through all our little numbers and things here. I want to make sure everybody knows what our hotline is. Our hotline number is 587-5369, 587-5369. A little slide will come up at the end of the show and during the show. And also, if you want to leave messages on our email address, it's ace@macaw.com, ace@macaw.com. And the phone number again is 587-5369. Anyways, get back to the show. We have Doug Hansen from Toshiba America here in Houston, and we're talking about notebooks and all kinds of different. We have more notebooks here than we have sense. At least than I have sense, I know that. And we have all kinds of different things, and I think what we had to do is just go over again a little review about what we were showing, and then we're going to get into the nitty-gritty, the good stuff, docking stations and more into port replicators, PCMCI, putting hard drives in, all kinds of fun stuff. So why don't we go over in 5 seconds or less.
All right.
I'm just kidding. Let's go over it. We have the entry level.
That's right. So it's value line. Our entry level is called our satellite series.
All right, so we have the 1960.
The 1910, the 1960, and the 2400.
And the 2400. I still find that 2400 is still a great deal for entry level, or for the, I guess it's not, I shouldn't say entry level.
Well, no, it's fine. I mean, actually, we had a very tough time categorizing the 2400 because of the features it has with the port replicator, the built-in sound card slot, the Creative Lab sound card slot, the SCSI port built in, the AccuPoint mouse, 8 meg RAM standard, all these features. We couldn't decide if we should make it a high-end entry-level notebook or a low-end performance notebook. And the reason we went with the satellite, and actually we call this the Satellite Pro, because it's a little bit more advanced than the standard satellite series. The reason why we chose to go with the satellite series is because it does not dock into the docking station. All our performance notebooks dock into the docking station.
Yeah, high-end entry level sounds better than low-end performance, I think.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
All right, and then the next level is the Portage.
Right, which is our Ultra Notebook series.
And I said that right, Portage, not Protege.
That's right, and I think you're the first one that's gotten it right so far.
Okay.
Yeah, it's basically a portable. That's your Protege, so we call it the Portage. It's our lightweight. Some people like to call this the sub-notebook class. We don't like that term. We think that is an incorrect term. I mean, it's an ultra notebook. It's very small, but yet it's as powerful as our larger machines.
And it has an external disk drive and optional port replicator.
Right. The floppy drive comes with the unit in the box. The port replicator is an accessory item.
All right. And then we go to the performance level.
That's correct. The performance series, there's 4 models in that series. All these machines plug into the docking station, which we call our Desk Station 4. All machines come multimedia ready with built-in microphone, built-in speakers, and all the software like Indio Video that lets you run full motion video clips.
All right. And they all do have the LED, or LCD.
It's a quick, well, we call it the quick status icon bar.
All right.
And basically it shows you where you're at. If your hard drive is being read, it shows you a hard drive. If your floppy drive is being read, it shows you a floppy. If your caps lock is on, it's just like the indicator lights on a desktop computer or something, only it's an icon, so it's a little bit more intuitive to see and understand what it's doing.
The more I see that, the more I wish that I had that on mine, because, I mean, the one thing we didn't mention was I do have my computer, and this is mine, is a 1950 CT, which was the older version of the 1960.
Right.
And I don't know if anybody wants to see this. I don't know if it makes any difference. But, I mean, it looks identical, except the difference was this was a DX240 as opposed to a DX250.
Which is the 1960.
Right. So just like everything I buy, next day you buy, it's half as much and twice as fast.
Absolutely.
But but this is still a great computer. I mean, this is, I don't know how long I've had this. Not that long. 6 months, 8 months, a year. Yeah. No, it's been almost a year. Yeah, it's been almost a year. Yeah,
the 46. I mean, you'll be a long time before you outgrow it, especially with the amount of memory you have in that machine.
Right. Yeah. This one has a 320 megabyte hard drive, 20 megs of RAM. Yeah, I do have this is the CT, which is the active matrix. So it is crisp and clean. Right. With no caffeine.
That's exactly right. You might want to show them your 16 meg memory card.
That's right. Well, I've got this out. Who wants to zoom in here? Which camera we want to go to? This one? Camera 3 or? Okay, camera 3. The way this works is this actually is right in the side here, right above the PCMCI or PC card is the memory slot, and this is a 16 meg. Look at this thing. It's like a little credit card. 16 megabyte SIM card.
Right. And so it takes the exact same form factor as a PC card or PCMCIA slot, but it adds to the memory your machine comes with. So you had 4 meg as a base memory in your machine when you bought it. You add a 16 meg card, you now have 20 meg of RAM, and that's literally how hard it is to install it. It's a matter of a few seconds. You didn't have to install it. You turn on the machine and it finds it.
And we'll talk more about this, but right below here is the PCMCI slot. Right now I have a modem in here, where there's a little doohickey thing down here, and it slides right out here. Little modem, little megahertz modem with the little X jack sort of deal. Actually, it's like this, so you can read what it says there. All right. But we'll talk about that more we get into the show here. Actually, it's like one of the next things we're going to talk about. But let's go. Let's talk about the docking station and port replicators. Okay. Why? I mean, we have this one back here, the Pentium machine. It's sitting on top of this. This isn't usually how it works.
That's correct. That's a good point. I'm glad you pointed that out.
And what this is, I don't know if actually, I'm just going to close this. Is this going to blow up or anything when I do? Okay, I'm just kidding.
That's fine.
And do we want to show how it fits in there, or do we just not?
We can show it with any of these.
Why don't we use this one, since it's the easiest one to get out here and it's not plugged in?
It just slides right in. The tracks are made.
The way this works, I'm going to do, I don't know which camera wants to go in here again.
Let me take this door off, because we find that some people don't want to use they want to keep that on.
There's a little door back here that you have to take off, so it slides right in here, and it goes in just like that.
Right, and you can't get too rough with it.
Oh.
People sometimes want to be ginger. You just push it in, it's
And
very
it fits
snug.
right in here. Now, what's nice about this, well, you tell me what's nice about this.
Well, actually, you know the
talking
product
too
very well
much.
as well. No, that's fine. The docking station, as you saw how easy it was to hook up. Now, it has some of the same features as the port replicator we discussed earlier, where all the wires are now managed for you. But in addition to that, you now have a platform for your monitor. You also have 2 standard ISA slots inside, full-length 16-bit ISA slots, and you have a drive bay here in front. You also have the keyboard and mouse jacks and so forth. You gain an extra serial port, things like that.
All right. Can you see what's going on here? I don't know if when we're pointing to this, if they can actually see what's going on. But, yeah, so you could put what in here?
You could put in a CD-ROM. Some people used to put in a lot of bigger hard drives, but now we've got 800 meg hard drives in notebooks. Some people are still putting a 1 gig drive in there. Other people are putting a CD-ROM in. Some people like to put in another like 5 1/4 floppy if they're doing from 3 1/2 to 5 1/4.
All right. Now, the one nice thing about this thing is also you'd have an external keyboard sitting in front. And the one thing that you really can't see, because we don't have one here, but just pretend this computer is a monitor.
That's correct.
Like you can have a 14, 15, whatever size monitor, I guess to a certain point. How about, what's it says something about, oh, there goes the cord.
That's okay.
You can't have a too heavy one. You can have like a 20-inch monitor.
Yes, you can. You
you
actually
really?
can. In fact,
Man, I'm glad I asked that.
Yes, you can. That's why a lot of my customers actually use this docking station still. You got to remember that when the docking station was created, we're kind of a unique manufacturer in one sense in that we've had the same desk station for 4 years. So people that bought a 4400 2.5 years ago, like you bought your 1950 a year ago,
Right.
they buy a 4800 or 4900 today. They don't have to rebuy the docking station. They can plug right in.
Oh, that's great.
So we're probably near the end of this one's life cycle, I would guess, because with the new PCI technology that's going into Pentiums, we'll probably redesign the motherboard, and at which time we'd ergonomically change. However, once you have this machine, this docking station, then you have all the connectivity with the ISA slots and so forth that you wouldn't have without that.
All right. Now, why would anyone want this over like a replicator, or why would you want a port replicator instead of this? What's the major differences between them?
Well, number one is one you just named is the big 19-inch monitor. If you plug in this under your desk, now you got to put your monitor beside it, and it's hard to find monitor stands that can support that kind of weight, and you don't have as much desk space. But you could build around that.
Right.
The real issues are things like people have existing 16-bit ISA cards that they want to use, and they want to salvage their money there. You're talking $500 for a docking station versus about $200 for a port replicator. So the extra $300, they might save $500 to $1,000 because they have existing cards that already work in here that they would have to buy separate here. Also, a lot of like scientific firms that have very specialized ISA boards that there are no PCM-CIA type cards yet out there. Obviously, modems and network cards are not a problem, but he has some special scientific board that does some kind of analysis that your company designed or had designed for your special needs. You know, you don't have a PCM-CIA option, so you need the docking station. It is becoming more and more replaced by the port replicator because, once again, remember when it was designed, people wanted to put a larger hard drive in. Now we've got 800 meg hard drives. They wanted to use the slots for like a network card or a faster modem, things like that. Well, now you got it's just as fast in modems and PCM-CIA as you do in ISA. And also, people wanted to put CD-ROMs in them, and I think that's probably going to be one of the final stages for the docking station mentality. Is that I think the next generation of notebooks will have CD-ROMs built in.
Right.
So you're seeing more and more of a switch over to the port replicator type, and you'll probably see new devices for monitor stands and things like that to help with the monitor issue.
I never quite understood the port replicator, but it makes a lot more sense now. I mean, I didn't realize that's what they were for.
Right.
I thought it just added more serial ports on the back, but that's actually a lot more than just adding a serial port or parallel port on the back.
One thing people never think about is not only is it convenient, which is no question, but when you're at your desk and you don't have a port replicator and you plug in your monitor and you plug in your power and you plug in your mouse, first of all, it's a hassle. But now when you unplug it and you walk away, what keeps those wires from sliding back behind your desk?
Velcro in my desk.
Exactly. You have to start scotch taping and all kinds of things, and it's just cumbersome. So you're on your knees pushing wires up, hoping that someone can help you hold the wires, and things like that. It just makes it a nice, clean solution.
Yeah, and it also has no power or anything. I mean, does it actually have power?
Actually, yes, it does, because you plug your power, the same AC adapter that goes in here.
Oh, I see.
Plug it in here, and now when you dock it, you're actually charging your battery.
That's
so you don't
killing
have
two birds with one stone.
Right, you're charging your battery, you're hooked up to your printer, your monitor, your keyboard, your mouse, in this case speakers and sound and a microphone. All your connectivity items are taken care of with one easy click.
All right. Now the docking station, you can also use this without this top and actually without an external keyboard, but it's not quite as easy to type at or anything.
That's correct.
So most people will have an external keyboard. That's another reason why I think a lot of people get these also, is when they're at the office, they don't want to have to use a smaller keyboard, although you get used to it.
Yeah.
A lot of people like a numeric keypad and
Right.
everything else and set
There's
up.
several ways around it, and everyone's got their own personal preference. You can plug in a PS2 full-size keyboard into most of our other computers without especially with the port replicator as well. So if you have to have a full-size keyboard, you can do it with the port replicator, or in some cases plug it directly into the computer without it. Other people buy our optional numeric keypad so that they have the numerics, like for accountants and things like that, or people use a lot of spreadsheets. But one thing we definitely take pride in is our keyboard. You can take a ruler and measure our keyboard, the space between them, the travel, and the physical size. It's the exact same size as your desktop keyboard. I've had several people challenge me on that because they say, no way, look how small this thing is. The only thing you're giving up is that numeric keypad.
Right.
So a lot of people that want spreadsheets and so forth buy the accessory item for the keypad.
So there is an external keypad you can get for this?
Yep, you
So
sure
if you're
is.
an accountant or something like that.
That's correct. And you could plug
There
that
is a built-in, what do they call it? Not built-in.
It's an integrated or
Embedded, that's the word I was looking for.
numeric keypad that's built in. There's blue keys on the front side of our numeric keypad, and in fact I use that a lot when I'm on the road doing spreadsheets. I can hold down the function key, which is here in blue, and any key that's in blue across the front here, or any of these keys, like the numeric keypad, there's 7, 8, 9, 4, 5, 6, and you can hold down that function key and get your numbers.
All right.
So I might be typing, I'll move my arrows over here, go to the spreadsheet, I want hold down the function, plug in my numbers, go to the next cell and type. So
All
you
right.
don't have to have the numeric keypad, you're right.
Right. Yeah, it took, I'm used to mine now. I don't even think about it.
Right.
It took me a while to get used to the smaller keyboard, but now I use mine all the time. I have a desktop also, but I have this right next, because I'm a nerd.
Right.
I have computers everywhere, I'm, what's going on, surfing the net and stuff like that, because I'm a nerd.
I understand.
What do you want to talk about? Do you want to talk about PCMCI cards, multimedia? You want to talk about next?
Let's, either one, multimedia probably.
Why don't we go into the multimedia part of it? I think I moved this monitor up, by the way. So.
Since we were talking about the performance notebooks and the docking station concept and so forth, it's a good fit to go right into the multimedia, because all of our performance notebooks that use this docking station also come multimedia ready. People sometimes say, what is multimedia? They get confused. In its basic terms, it's nothing more than the combination of text, sound, and graphics. But its real-life applications are becoming more and more prominent, especially with CD-ROM and things like that becoming more and more popular. So a lot of, if you think about the mobilization of our workforce now, the downsizing of our companies, we're expecting more work out of people than we ever did in the past. You're going to see multimedia becoming more and more important because these people are out of the office. They're working out of their homes, they're working out in the hotel rooms, on the road, and they don't ever get the interaction both from other people as well as it's harder to get information. And it's very difficult to get information when you're out there on the road, which is a time when you need it the most.
Right.
So connectivity is the glue that brings all this together, and that's what we're trying to do with the notebook computers. And the multimedia is another piece of that connectivity.
It's amazing how much people are using multimedia in every single, everything from, marketing and advertising, things like that, to CAD and to, presenting things to different people, how things look in real life, and zooming things around and rotating things and whatever.
Exactly. A common example is, let's say your company is rolling out something that is a very critical new product, or there's a problem we're trying to address, and you want to get your message direct from the president of the company. You can actually send with a PCMCIA hard drive, which we'll discuss in a minute, files that you used to couldn't send over a modem or down a floppy. You either had to stamp a CD-ROM or get their computer somehow and load it on their computer. For example, if you had a rollout, you could walk up, your person could get that file.
You want to show that? Can you see that? Who wants to zoom? Right there, the camera 3.
Of multimedia, sound, and video. This is a good example
Can you see that?
of leading-edge technology.
I don't see anyone doing it.
Yeah, zoom in. Basically what I've got here is,
You zoom in on that.
this is a file that's from our president and general manager, Mike Winkler.
Technology alone
And he actually can send a message to all of us in the field that in the past we would have either had to get a voicemail or actually go to a national sales meeting.
So this is real live use of
This is-
multimedia in
exactly.
the real world.
Yeah, Mike had an issue that he felt was very important for us when we rolled out our Salesforce automation computers for all of our reps in the country to be connected, and he wanted to show his full commitment. Instead of just hearing a voice over the radio, over the voicemail, you can actually see him speak to you and run a full motion clip. Other people use multimedia for like new technology. You want to show your customer how your part works. and things like that. Multimedia's got, we're only at the very beginning stages of what it can offer.
And there it goes up. Do we want to show this one here, or are we going to have to wrap it up? I think we're going to have to take a quick break here.
Okay.
So everyone stay tuned. We've got lots more fun stuff to take a look at, so stay tuned, and we'll be right back. So
I think this will be a good fit, but real quick at the start of that.
What would make this 60-year-old woman reveal her breasts to someone she doesn't know? It would have to be for a very good reason, like getting a mammogram. A doctor told her the older she gets, the higher the risk of breast cancer. But early detection increases her chance of successful treatment. Getting a mammogram might just save her life, especially if you're over 50. Call the American Cancer Society. Early detection is the best protection.
Your approach is looking good, Cobra.
The men and women in the National Guard and Reserve face some tough challenges when they serve. Challenges that teach them discipline, leadership, and technical skills that make them better employees. So when they need time off to serve, don't make their toughest challenge approaching you.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the show. In case you just tuned in, like I say every time, this is the American Computer Enthusiast Show. My name's Steve Reeves, I'm the host tonight. And our guest tonight is Doug Hansen from Toshiba America here in Houston. And we're taking a look at all kinds of fun notebook. Well, actually the title of the show is Portable PC Technology. Catchy phrase, huh? And we're taking a look at all kinds of fun things. Little computers, notebook computers, ultra notebook computers, PC MCI cards, all kinds of fun, docking stations, port replicators, all kinds of things. And one thing I always want to make sure is everyone knows the hotline number is 587-5369, 587-5369. And our email address is ace@macaw.com. I don't know why I have to look down, I know that by heart. ace@macaw.com. So I guess what we're going to do first right off the bat is we're going to show up the Pentium machine, the 4900. And we're going to kind of finish up multimedia. So why don't we go ahead and start? You want me to hit this?
Yeah, real quick, we talked about multimedia, how it can be used from the Salesforce standpoint with the company sending out messages. This is how it can be used from a sales standpoint with your customers.
All right, hit it.
Yep. What this is, a quick presentation, is if you were in front of a whole group. This could be broadcast over a presentation device. So the point I want to make here, Steve, is that nothing has been added to this machine. This machine is directly out of the box. Out of the box, it came ready to do just what we just saw. Built-in microphone, built-in speakers, and so forth.
And what you were doing there was you can actually turn up and down the volume on this thing through that function key like you were talking about before.
That's correct.
Or the function, yeah, the FN key, function.
That's right. Function F4, we have several hot buttons across the top that you can do things like set your user power mode and things like that, as well as control your volume. So you can also set your security and your password from those same hotkeys.
All right. Okay. Well, I guess that kind of wraps up multimedia. Anything else you want to talk about multimedia?
I think that does a good job. The point is that these machines come out of the box ready to do that.
That's pretty slick.
Yeah.
As we often say. I guess what we got to talk about next is PC MCI card, or PC cards, as you were saying earlier. They're really not. The better name is PC.
It's actually perfectly appropriate that you stuttered through that, because everyone else does as well. And PCMCIA is actually the acronym for Personal Computer Memory Card International Association. It's actually an association that sets the standards for PC cards. But for some reason, all of us, it's become a nomenclature that we say the PCMCIA slot, when it's really a PC card slot. And that's going to become more and more important, because right now the PC cards are what we call PC card 16s. They run at 8 megahertz, which is the same speed as an ISA slot on a normal desktop computer.
Right.
And they're a 16-bit data bus. In the future, there's technology being developed with 32-bit 32-bit bus on PCMCIA cards, and they're going to be called PC cards. Oh, isn't that appropriate?
Yeah.
It also interrupts you very appropriately. Anyway, there is, I can click where that won't happen.
All right.
So the PC card 32, it will be a 32-bit bus, as well as it can go up to speeds of 33 megahertz, and it'll automatically have intelligence to drop itself down to 8 megahertz when you plug in an older card. So it will be downward compatible. So it will get confusing for people when they hear the term PC card 16 or PC card 32, and that's why that's important.
All right. Yeah, because PCMCI is a mouthful.
Right.
You know? Yeah. I mean, it's too many, like just every other computer acronym, you know,
That's
it's just
correct.
too much to think about. So, well, let's talk about what these actually are and how they differ and different sizes. And
So what is it? Yeah, basically what it amounts to is in the past there was no standard for notebooks in general to share cards. You could go out and buy any manufacturer's desktop and plug in the same modem card in it. But when you bought notebooks, you had proprietary modems.
Right.
For example, this is an old Toshiba we called a D-slot modem, and as you can see the nice little wires, while this was way ahead of its time at the time, very small, lightweight, used low power, you can see it isn't something that you would user install normally.
Right.
The average user would have to go have this installed by an authorized service provider. And the other problem was it was a dedicated Toshiba modem. You couldn't plug it in any other manufacturer's slots, and so because every manufacturer is trying to keep them small and lightweight. PCMCIA, which Toshiba is very actively involved in the initiation of it as well as in the ongoing efforts, is a standard, and this is a Type 3 PCMCIA card, and I believe you have a Type 2 there. The only difference is
hold these up here.
the only difference is the thickness. The length and width is the same.
I like to put our camera people on the spot here, you know what I mean? So what we're going to do is zoom in on these two cards here and the difference between them. They look identical when you look at them this way, but you can see the thickness. This is a 2.
Right.
And this is a 3.
And interestingly enough, both of those are modem cards. Obviously, in that case, the Type 3 is so that you can plug a RJ11 jack directly into it. Where on the Type 2, in your case there, you'd either have to use a connector cable, or in your case, you have the megahertz what do they call that port?
X-jack.
X-jack port. It's their patented port, and you can plug a cable right into that. So,
all right, now the advantage to this right here, there's advantages and disadvantages to both of them.
right.
This is kind of neat because you can actually have your phone plugged into the other end, right?
Directly, and no adapters, nothing.
Right. And this one is, it just takes up like no room.
Right.
But it's they really do the same sort of thing.
Exactly.
They're both 14.4s, right?
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. And you know, Toshiba also makes modems that are Type 2 as well. I just brought a Type 3 Toshiba modem because some people prefer no adapters, no X-jack, just directly in.
Right. Now, personally, this kind of bothers me. I mean, I bought this thing and it was pretty expensive too at the time, but I always feel like I'm going to break it when I'm putting that thing in there. I always feel like, and when I put my phone jack in there.
That's exactly why some people like that modem I showed you there, or they like the modem that's a Type 2 like yours, but it uses a cable connector similar to this one on the SCSI card here.
Right. I don't know if you can zoom in. I'm going to keep making the camera person just jump.
Because it's definitely not as fragile. That connector is not near as fragile as your X-jack connector. But
see, it's a little card. It's got a little. It's hard to see, but there's a little slot right there, and you plug that right in, and then you can have not only this, but like a phone jack, or going to a network card.
Correct. That's exactly right. In that particular case, that's going to a SCSI connector for the CD-ROM we have out here, but it could be a phone cable that goes to your phone line. It could be a network cable that goes to your network, your LAN.
You want to talk about this real fast?
Sure.
This one? Well, we can talk real slow too. What exactly is this we've got here?
Well, it's a portable CD-ROM device that, with that SCSI card you were holding a second ago, you can plug that directly into your PCMCIA slot or PC card slot, and now you have the cable. Plug it into your CD-ROM, and you've got up to 600 meg of storage space out in the field. As I said, I think you'll see the next generation of notebooks start having more and more CD-ROM standard, but there's a lot of folks out there that don't want to carry the weight or don't want the expense every day, and they only need a CD-ROM a few times a year, so they would prefer to have it portable. And this is a way to do that.
This is a pretty neat little CD-ROM here, too.
Very lightweight and small. You could actually play your music CDs on that as well.
Right.
You don't have to play just multimedia CDs.
And this has power, plug it in, little adapters for setting everything up, but man, that thing is little.
Yeah.
It does look like a little Walkman, Discman.
Right,
That's
exactly.
what it looks like. And this is made by Toshiba.
That's correct. That is a Toshiba disc product.
All right, and again, this plugs into this cable here, and then this plugs into the PCMCI or PC card, I'm sorry.
That's correct.
Which goes into the Type 2 adapter.
Right, which gets into PCM-CIA architecture in that people say, yeah, well, these cards are nice, but I have to load a driver every time I swap out my modem card and plug in my SCSI card, or swap out my modem and plug in a network card. Part of the beauty of what we have is that our machines have this card and socket services, which allows you to automatically, like this is a 105 meg hard drive, Steve, and when I plug this in, which I can't see the slide over there, am I on? When I plug this in, it will automatically come up and find that card was inserted. Not only did it notice that a card was inserted, but it identified the card, and that's part of card and socket services. So you can hot plug and play cards as you need them. I could pop out that hard drive, which is drive D right now, plug in a modem and send out modem communications. Pop out the modem, plug in a network card, and get on the network. In this case, you have 2 PCM-CIA slots, or PC card slots. That's going to be a tough habit to break, isn't it?
Right.
But anyway, but some people still need more than 2, and that's the feature of being able to plug and play very easily.
All right. Now that actually said, what kind of hard drive is that?
It's a Toshiba drive, and it's 105 meg. We also have a 262 meg option, and we have a direct accessories line, or you can go through your dealers.
So, like you were saying, that is a great application for that is multimedia type thing to send that. You actually send that little drive.
That clip you saw a while ago actually came to me on this drive you just saw, and now when I'm done, I can send the drive back for corporate to use for other training or messages or videos they want to send me.
And they come in, the ones that I've seen come in neat little packages that you could, like I said, right. And you could, I don't suggest throw it against the wall, but I mean, they're pretty good, and you can drop them and heat them up and everything else.
That's the beauty of these things, is that they'll take up to 300 Gs not operating and 100 Gs operating, and that's actually very conservative standards. Almost every demo I do with that hard drive or with the ones like it, I put it in that case and I throw it on the floor and I plug it back into the computer and show people that it's very durable.
All right, well, I want to show how little this thing is. I mean, this is amazing. See this little drive here? Oh, I'm on this camera.
105 meg in that thing.
Oop.
Just a year ago.
You can see how thin that is. And all it is, got the same type little
exact same
pins thing that go right into that into the PC card slot. And then you can see it's got a little case here, and you just slide it in here and stick it in your pocket.
Or ship it.
Bada bing, bada boom,
That's right.
And it's pretty neat. Man, that thing is...
It's becoming more and more popular with companies because, like I said, data is the most important critical element when people are out in the field, and now there's not a limit on how much their machine can hold. They just keep plugging in as it gets full.
Now I can just give this right back to you, and you can plug it in, and it finds it automatically.
That's correct.
It'll pop up. Like right now it says card extracted from socket 0.
Right, we can clear the screen by hitting return there, and when I plug this in, it'll take a few seconds. You heard the beep.
Right.
Take a few seconds. It looks for the database and finds it. MasterCard inserted in socket 0, or Mac Store, I'm sorry. Mac Store card, which Mac Store is the manufacturer of that card for Toshiba.
And so it found it automatically, and that now that's a lot of people probably don't realize, but that is a hot little option right there. That it's not an option. I mean, pretty neat feature.
Well, it's the main selling point for Windows 95.
Right.
Is plug and play built into your operating system. Toshiba has it built in when you buy the machine. Your machine comes ready out of the box to do what we just did. You don't have to set up anything. You just buy your cards and plug them in and you go. I mean, you literally open your box, plug it in, plug in your modem, and start working. You don't have to configure anything. And when Windows 95, that's one of the new features, as well as plug and play docking station, hot plugging into this. That's one of the other things Windows 95 will offer.
Oh, that's pretty slick.
So we're offering it today.
Well, that was one reason why I bought so much RAM in this machine. Not only a big hard drive, but a lot of RAM to be able to handle anything like Windows 95 or whatever.
Right.
But, ends up you don't need 20 megs of RAM, but it's a good thing to have.
Yeah, you can't ever get enough RAM in my opinion.
That's exactly right. You can never have a computer too fast, a hard drive too big, or too much RAM.
I agree completely. And you never can have enough
speakers too big, or like accessories. I love accessories. You know what I mean?
Right.
The one thing I want to make sure that the one thing that we talked about earlier, I just mentioned, was the 800 numbers for Toshiba. In case anybody wants to find information, we have. You want me to go ahead and give them? I have them written down here.
Absolutely.
One was accessories. A lot of these accessories we've talked about already. There's an 800 line. 800-959-4100. That's 1-800-959-4100.
And they do have an accessories catalog they can send you if you're interested.
Okay. Great. And then also dealer referrals. If you want to find a dealer in the Houston area or anywhere, if we happen to send this tape somewhere else, is 800-457-7777. 1-800-457-7777. Or another thing that I know I've downloaded, what's it called?
Flash BIOS.
Flash BIOS upgrades on CompuServe. You just type in Go Toshiba on CompuServe, and there's a big forum on there with all kinds of new things, utilities, all the new drivers, and you can download just about anything. A fun screensaver things that say Toshiba and stuff like that.
Right.
And one other thing I want to do is we say we're going to do this, and somehow we got off track in the last couple of shows, but we're going to try to have a software and a software or a magazine or book of the week for each show. One thing that I picked up the other day at, actually I got this at Bookstop, it was like $17.95 or something, as a PC Magazine CD. And I know we talked about this one time we came back from Comdex about how neat this is, but it's now available everywhere. And you open it up and it has, well, the CD's out, here it is right here, but because I was using it. The CD, and it has all the PC magazines for the last year, utilities, all kinds of, benchmarks, all kinds of fun stuff. And it's like $17.95, and it's got all kinds of, demos and things from all different software. Like you can go in there and there's a demo of Mist and different software packages. And then the magazine of the week is Net Guide, and this is brand new. As a matter of fact, I think it's the initial issue of this, $1.95, and I got this at Bookstop also. But what this is, it's got just everything you'd ever want to know about what's on internet, and which is is big. And we've done a couple of shows in a row on internet, and everyone wants to know where you can find things, where things are available, what's going on, different places that are on internet, like surfing the net, man. But that's just our software and our magazine of the week right there. We need to start that every show now. And I guess what are the things you want to talk about? We've only got about a minute left.
1 minute.
1 minute. Anything that's coming out, or anything that's new, or anything that's fine? I guess just the Pentium's what's new. I mean, that's hot off the press.
All right.
And they are available, right?
Yeah, the Pentium is available. It sure is. It's shipping. It started shipping in November, and that's when it was really constrained. And now it's starting to free up a lot more. So they're out there.
And all these are everything.
We could address the issue of the Pentium flaw it's out, and that's a hot topic right now. And
why don't you talk about that?
Yeah, you can bet that if you buy a Toshiba notebook computer that's a Pentium-based processor, and you have the flaw, that we will replace that. Now, for us, it's not just replacing the chip. You have to have your entire motherboard replaced.
Right.
And it takes about an hour and a half. If you bought a Pentium in the last month, Pentium machine, the 4900, we're not doing them all at once. We're going to have to schedule them. But the point is, you don't have to do it within your first 30 days of ownership. Anytime you own that machine, you can come back. Even if your warranty is expired, you can bring that back, and you can get that fixed. So it's not an issue.
Well, I want to thank you for coming to the show. It was great. I can't believe how much I learned tonight. I mean, I thought I knew a lot about my notebook, but apparently I didn't. There's a lot of fun stuff you can buy. So I want to thank Doug Hansen, and make sure everybody watches next week. So we'll see you next week.